Hey, first grade friends, it's Mrs. Real with another lesson about insects today. So last week we had our blue insect book where we talked and reviewed about the body parts of an insect, the things that all insects have to have. We talked about their head, their thorax, and their abdomen. And from their head is where their eyes, their antenna, and their mouth parts are. The thorax, which is our chest area on above an insect, contains their legs coming out, and if they have wings, that's also where the wings attach. The abdomen is the part of the bug that has all of its internal organs, and usually at the end there's some kind of pincher or egg dropper or some kind of helper thing at the end of that. So all insects have to have that head, thorax, abdomen, 6 legs, antenna part going on. Today I have another blue book, Insects of All Kinds. And we're going to learn more about insects and how they're classified or organized and how we might know and who studies them and what we're going to learn about them. So turn on my camera so that you can also see our awesome book, Insects of All Kinds. So remember, this is a nonfiction book. This is a book that's going to give us facts about insects. It's going to have a table of contents. It's going to have our glossary at the end of our special bold black words that we're going to find. There's kind of a lot of interesting words today we're going to talk about. It also has pictures with captions that help explain what's happening in those pictures. And here we go. Insects of all kinds. Look at that shiny beetle. So we can already look and see if it's an insect, we know it has to have a head. There's its mouth parts, its antenna, and his eyes. Here's his thorax, and that's the part where the legs are connected in and coming off of. Here's his abdomen, which is where all his internal stuff is. And this beetle, this insect, does not have any wings. He still is an insect because they can either have 0 wings, 2 wings, or 4 wings. Insects of all kinds. So our table of contents is going to tell us the different chapters or different parts that we're going to learn. So we're going to learn about kinds of insects, insect variety, entomologists. It's a big word. It's probably going to be in bold black, and we'll find it in our glossary at the end. The big 4, other insect groups. Here's our glossary, our further reading section, and our index, and the page numbers that we're going to find all of those on. So let's get started. I'll show you the pictures while I read the words. Kinds of insects. Naming insects is a big job. Scientists have named about 800,000 species or kinds of insects, but their work has just begun. There may be another 9 or 10 million insect species that scientists haven't seen. They're little, we can't find all of them. Many of these undiscovered insects are in the world's rainforest. Because rainforests are being rapidly destroyed, many insect species will never be known. So here's a picture again of another beetle. Head at this end. I'm sorry you guys keep getting some glare off my camera. Thorax right here in the middle. Abdomen. And even though it looks like his legs go right down along his abdomen, they are connected way up here in his thorax. So here's a front leg, the middle leg, the back leg just goes long out that way. I don't see much antenna in the way of antenna on this beetle, and they do not have wings. It says more of the world's named insects belong to the beetle order than to any other group. I have to look hard to find the insect on this page. This is insect varieties. One of the most interesting things about the great number of insect species is their variety. Insects display a remarkable number of shapes, sizes, and colors. Insects may be shaped like leaves or twigs or even bird droppings. Some have wide wings or furry bodies. An insect may be a caterpillar one day and a cocoon the next. We're going to talk more about that next week. Insects come in every color you could imagine. Some beetles shine like new metal. it says the caption that goes with this picture, it's right down here, says the ability of insects to survive often depends on their strange shapes and amazing colors. So if you were just walking through the woods, you might not notice this insect right here because it's camouflaged on the rock or log that it's on. It has some of the same background colorings, so you don't notice it as quickly. But now that we've got a picture of it, you can see here's his head with the antenna coming off. Here's his thorax where his legs are connected in. And here's his long abdomen. But the coloring and the markings look like this bark or moss on a rock that he's sitting on. Entomologists, see here it is in big dark letters. Entomologists are scientists who study insects. Entomologists place insects into large groups of species called orders. The members of an order share certain likenesses in their body design. Butterflies and moths, for example, both belong to the order called Lepidoptera. Most entomologists sort insects into 26 orders, but the greatest number of insects belong to just 4 of these orders. So my caption down here says an entomologist studies butterflies at a science lab in a Costa Rican rainforest. So if you look down in his hand, he's holding a butterfly. So butterflies and moths are one group out of 26 groups of different kinds of insects, and they put them in those groups because they have something that's kind of the same about their body. So butterflies and moths both have big wings, they have long bodies, they belong in one group. There's 26 groups, but most insects fit into just 4. So now we're going to learn why that one chapter of our book is called The Big Four. The 4 orders or groups with the most insect species are the beetle group, the moths and butterflies group, the flies group, and the wasps, bees, and ants group. The beetles have the largest number of known species, about 350,000. Beetles tend to have hard, shiny backs. Several beetle species live in freshwater, and a few live in saltwater. We have beetles on the ground, beetles in freshwater like lakes and rivers and streams, and beetles in saltwater like the ocean. This is a Luna moth, and it's kind of camouflaged against that green fern in the background. It belongs to the order Lepidoptera with butterflies and moths. This is a great picture. Flies are part of a large insect order. Flies have only one pair of wings. So here's the fly's head. Remember we talked about flies and bees having these large eyes. So that whole brownish bump and this one on the other side, each of those are his eyes. We're not seeing his antenna. They're kind of, it's hidden on his back. You can't really see it against the back. Here's his legs coming down this side, and they have one wing on each side, so one pair of wings. The praying mantis and other insects of the mantid order have large spiny forelegs for holding prey. Now his legs are kind of dark in this picture and there's the glare, so I'm gonna pick up the book because his legs are really cool and they got a picture of him with some pollen on his front legs. So I'm gonna pick the picture up, get it a little closer, try to get the glare off. So you can see up here, his head, his antenna coming off. Right here are his front legs, his big front legs. He's got 2, one on each side, and they're brown and they're folded, zigzag back and forth. And you can see right here on the end, like his toes end, he's getting pollen off of that flower. And the other legs are just down here. They're smaller, so he still has 3 sets, 6 legs, but those front ones are big and they zigzag back and forth so he can hold the things that he eats. Here's a great picture of a bee's face. There are more than 100,000 kinds of moths and butterflies. Butterflies usually fly by day, while moths are active at night. Moths are generally furry and have feathery antennas. We saw that in last week's book with that great feathery antenna on that moth. The family of wasps, ants, and bees has about 100,000 known species. Many of these insects live together in nests or homes called colonies. So wasps, ants, and bees are all put together, not because they look exactly the same, but because they all live together in big groups. You know that wasps and bees make nests that hang up in trees or off of the roof of your house, and ants live in the ground and they all live in big groups or colonies. Members of the fly family have only one pair of wings. Flies have mouth parts designed to gather liquid food. This bee, you can also see there's one eye here, one eye over here. They have ginormous, very large eyes. Here's his antenna coming off of his head. And right down here, you can see the pinchers that are his mouth parts as he's working on that pollen that he's sitting on. This is a beautiful picture of a dragonfly. Here's his head up here. This thorax is this part where you can see some legs in the background and these beautiful lacy see-through wings. And then his abdomen is really, really long. Comes all the way down to there. Dragonflies and damselflies are among the most beautiful insects. They have slender, brightly colored bodies, see-through wings, and huge eyes. Dragonflies may fly as fast as 60 miles per hour. That's your car on the freeway, kind of. They are swift predators or hunters. Dragonflies use their legs to catch other insects in flight. The grasshoppers, katydids, and crickets make up a family of plant eaters. Katydids and crickets are known for their night songs. We're going to learn more about how they make those night songs in a couple of weeks in a different book. This has got dewdrops sparkle on dragonfly's wings. The dragonfly can't fly until its body warms up. It's cold-blooded, so it stays as warm as the outside temperature. So in the morning, it still needs to hang out on whatever grass or reed or plant that it slept on until the sun warms it up enough to get its body going again, and then it can fly around. Walking sticks and leaf insects look remarkably like their namesakes, sticks and leaves. One walking stick species is the longest North American insect at 7.5 inches. Now, this is not the picture of the walking stick. This is just the picture that's in the book. But I have a ruler, and I'm going to try to fit in 7.5 inches of my ruler. So here's my 0. It starts right here where my finger is. And if you follow along my ruler till we get to 7, and then half, so right here. So a walking stick, there is one kind of walking stick that is longer than fits into my camera. So there's the, oh, there we go. You see my beginning finger and my ending finger. That stick is bigger than this one page of this book. Luckily, it's not as wide as this page of the book either. Another well-known group of insects is the cockroach order. Cockroaches can live in human houses. Most cockroach species live in forests, however. So this is a picture of a grasshopper. It is in the same group as katydids and crickets. It also makes some noise with its legs. But we've got this great view of its head with its antenna coming out. His thorax is right here, and there's the legs coming off of it. His front leg is curled up under here. His wings, these are actually his wings. No, actually, those are the back legs. And his wings are under here. So they have really big back legs. I forgot, they're grasshoppers. That's what they do. So 1, 2, 3, his wings are folded down here. Here's his abdomen poking out behind those big old back legs. The familiar praying mantis is one of the mantid insects. That was the picture I picked up and showed you in the camera with his big folded front legs. Mantids have large forelegs to hold their prey. That's the animals they catch. Can you see the word prey right here in dark bold letter? P-R-E-Y is an animal that you catch and eat. Members of the termite group always live in colonies. Many species build tower-like mounds of mud up to 18 feet tall. That would be 3 of me plus almost 4 of me standing on my own shoulders tall. That's pretty tall. Some termites build nests with chewed wood. Others build nests with sloped roofs for rain control. Cicadas, leafhoppers, spittlebugs, and aphids belong to an order of insects with beak-like piercing mouthparts. The beaks pierce plants from which the insects suck juice. This one, my little information part over here, says this is called an ambush bug. And with that glare, I'm hoping you're able to see. I can see some eye right here, a mouth part right here. So this would be his head. The bumpy part right here is his thorax. The abdomen coming back here. There's front leg, middle leg, back leg on that side. And this is an insect that eats other insects. Some people call all insects bugs. I've been saying bugs occasionally as I read to you, but there actually is an order of insects called bugs. Many bugs are water-loving, like the giant water bug. Bugs have piercing mouthparts. They use them to suck plant or animal juices. The bed bug, for example, will suck human blood. Okay, here's our glossary for today. It talked about a cocoon, and I said we're going to learn more about that one next week. Colonies, we talked about ants and bees and wasps all live in the same kind of place or grouping. Entomologist is a scientist who studies insects. Lepidoptera, that's the large order of insects that includes butterflies and moths. Mouthparts, the jaws, beaks, or other feeding tools that surround an insect's mouth, found on its head. Predator is an animal that hunts and kills other animals for food. Prey is an animal that is hunted for food by other animals. And most kinds of animals are predators of some kind. Sometimes they eat grass instead of animals, or they are the prey of other animals. So it's kind of a whole big chain. Species, within a group of closely related animals, such as moths, it's one certain type. So inside of a big group of animals, there are smaller groups or species, like Luna moths are in the moth category. And here's our last pages, our further reading. If you liked this book or want more information about what I was talking about, there's other books you can look and some websites that you could look. And our index, if we needed to learn more about entomologists, we would go to page 9. We wanted to know more about colonies. It's on page 14 and page 21. And all of our butterfly information is listed on page 9, 10, and 14. So I will be making shortly another video of a story that I am going to share that is going to have you going on an insect hunt. So I hope you enjoyed this book. I'll do another one for you for next week. And now I'll make another video of a book I'm going to share. So now that you know that insects have to have certain things, and you know there are different groupings of insects, I have a fun book that I'm going to be reading to you that will tell you about some insects, but they also sneak in an animal or two that may not be an insect. So I'll be waiting for that story to come. It's called Look Closer, and I want you to go on the hunt and find out. And I will see you again soon, my first grade friends.